Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I look forward to sharing with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript, and when I speak of Lorrayne, I'm referring to the practitioner who will be asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session. Otherwise, she will state so. And when I speak of me, I'm referring to myself under hypnosis, which means that the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. But before we move forward, I would like to thank you, as always, for subscribing to my channel and liking and commenting on this video. Thank you so much, and let's jump in. All right, Lorrayne. So Rhonda sent Clea a very interesting video of Gina Marie Colville Hill saying that they're closing stores in Germany and other places because they don't have enough people working there. A woman commented on Gina's video that she's homeless and applied for many jobs, but was not hired. So she said that companies pretend to be hiring, but they're actually not. Is this true that they're not hiring? Or is it true that there are not enough people to work at these places, and that's why these places are closing? Me. So both things are true, actually. What's happening is that absolutely a lot of places are closing because they cannot find people, and they're earnestly hiring. But there are also companies where they want to hire, but even the hiring managers are gone, and the company is crumbling. The company is becoming weaker, so they're stopping some hires. So while they need the people to grow, with the excuse again, because now we have an excuse, we're in a recession, for example, in the United States. Now they have the excuse to say, yeah, but we can't really hire. So both things are going on, but in the majority of cases, they want to hire, and there are just not people to be found, not enough people to be found. Lorrayne, thank you. Glenn says this reminds her of a book that she read by a self-proclaimed alien from Venus who said that the way they moved to a higher consciousness society was by having the entire worker class walk away from their job on an agreed-upon date. So the system of slavery collapsed in one day. Some of the people in charge joined them, and some others could not adjust to the absence of a money and power system and moved to other planets. Is the author from Venus, and was she telling the truth? And you guys might be familiar with these books. I actually found them super interesting. And I think it's called, I think the title was From Venus I Am, and it's a trilogy. I thought it was very interesting, actually. Me. Yes, she does think she's from Venus, and so in her mind, she's telling the truth. She's not actually from Venus, but she definitely remembers, like she's, you know, we're all from everywhere. So in that sense, she's come from there. It's just that things are not exactly how she thinks she remembers them. And so, yeah, in that sense, she's telling the truth. And that is what they did on Venus. But again, that was at what we call a 3D level, in the sense of at a concrete level, because they weren't going to take their planet down. So many different planets have gone through these shifts and recalibrated in different ways. So this is what they did there, yes. We are not going to do that here, obviously, because again, we're too far gone. We can't really recalibrate. And two, obviously, there's no point at this point. We're just discarding everything. Lorrayne, thank you. 800 McDonald's store closed in Russia with the excuse of objecting to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. What was the real reason? We always know if we're reading something or hearing it in the mainstream, we're like, all right, so what was actually the truth? Okay, me. Yes, so the dark is taking it in the teeth. And I think the correct expression is taking it around the chin, but they said it in the teeth, so it's what it is. So the dark is taken in the teeth. That's the real reason. McDonald's is very much a dark operation. And yeah, Russia just said no. Now, Russia has been at the forefront of fighting back. And again, doesn't mean everybody in Russia is of the light. Doesn't mean even the politicians are of the light, for sure. But we've spoken about themes. And for Russia, the theme has always been that it wants to be free to make its own choices, whether they're good or bad. And Russia has been used by the dark and made to toe the line for a very long time, and also has been very ill-treated in the process. So they're just fed up. They're fed up with it. Lorrayne, thank you. What's behind the explosion at Hoover Dam, which generates power for a lot of states? And you guys may or may have not heard about this, but there was a fire at Hoover Dam, not in the actual dam, but in the control, if you want to call it, control station at the bottom of the dam. And this happened, I want to say, maybe a month ago. And today is August 16th, just for reference. It was technically an accident, but we know there are no accidents. What happened with that is that everybody was put on high alert about how fragile the system is. So again, now there is even more of an intent to get over the system, to do away with these old systems because they're so fragile. We're so vulnerable from a 3D perspective. So it was an accident. It wasn't created to show this. This is what ended up showing. So it's not just, okay, we fixed it and now we're back to normal. Not quite. There are people that have been very alarmed by that happening. Lorraine, very good. Thank you. Okay. What is behind a huge fire at Yosemite Park that has forced thousands to evacuate? Now, you guys who are not in the States might not know that every year we have all kinds of fires, especially in California. And there's always the rumors that these are not actual legit fires, that somebody is playing amok. and so in this case, there was this other fire that again was huge in Yosemite Park. And so I wanted to ask about it. Yeah, this is the dark pushing the agenda of the climate change. They do this every year. They burn stuff because it's so easy to burn stuff. And of course, there are some fires that are natural, but most of these are either started by the dark or fanned by the dark, basically multiplied by the dark. The idea is always to keep people in a state of uneasiness, fear, a state of instability, always on their feet, always fearful. Fear is what has been feeding the dark, in the sense of this is what has allowed the dark to expand its reach. And so the dark is very much misunderstood. We've already spoken about this. So they think fear is their friend, fear of the people. They don't understand. We are all one. You cannot make us afraid without you also being fearful. They never understood. We didn't know. All of us, we didn't know. We didn't know what we're dealing with. That's the whole point of doing these games, is that you don't know what to expect. Lorraine, thank you. Why do so many people out there say or channel that people who have died, like JFK Jr. and Lady Diana, have not died? What is the idea behind this? Yeah, a lot of people still want to play like there's somebody who's going to come and save them. And there are people that have caught our collective attention and fascination, like, for example, JFK Jr. These were not people of the light either. So a person doesn't have to be good for us to pick them. We've said this a million times. A person doesn't have to be good, what we consider good. And again, there is no good and bad, but a person doesn't have to be a saint for us to assume that they are great and they're for the people in saving us, etc., etc. So a lot of people still hope. We cannot believe, we're still in shock from some of these people passing away. So we pretend that they have not, but no, they have. They've been gone for a while. And truly, isn't it good that once in a while people actually die instead of being recycled and we keep seeing their face, different actors? It's not them anymore, but we pretend that they live 120 years. Come on. We would have been all happy if Gates had been left to die when he died instead of being recycled, just like the current president and so on. It would be nice, actually. There would be much less confusion if people were just left to die, and that's that, and new faces at least. Lorraine. So on that note, recently I watched a video that said that Mr. T, and I cannot say the name here, but basically was the president previous to the current guy in charge. We don't know who it is that's playing the president these days, but Mr. T died, but the off-worlders technology brought him back. Is this true? They were laughing. So he died, and we already said that many sessions ago. He's been gone for a while. So whoever we see now is either a double or sometimes even CGI. But no, alien technology cannot bring a person back. Keep in mind that even with technology, no matter how advanced, the essence has to decide to come back. If the essence of, in this case, Mr. T, had decided to move on, how are you going to convince the essence to come back? It's not a matter of just reviving the body. The essence is not there anymore. Even if they had a way to revive a body where the essence had decided the body would die, So no, that's not, it doesn't even make sense when you think about it, when you break it down. The essence decided to move on. I mean, Mr. T didn't die just because he was taken out. It worked. He was taken out because the essence was ready to go. And you know, I do love this about the 25th. They never miss an opportunity to remind us that we create our own reality. So nothing can be done to us or against our will. It's always our higher self choosing things. So you would imagine even in a position like that of a president where so many people might hate you. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are. You're going to have a lot of people who are interested in seeing you go. Even then, nothing's going to work out. Doesn't matter how many times they try, unless the essence decides that it's going to work out. I find this extremely empowering. I do love this perspective. Lorrayne, thank you. Claire would like to know, and I would too, what's going on in Sri Lanka. They've ousted both the monarchy and the president, who has now resigned. Will they replace them, or are they done with governments? Are there places where they are already changing their government's model, their governance model? Are there countries that are deciding to turn into the light or more light than others? And why so much violence in Sri Lanka? She thought they were all done with that low vibration. Me. Yes, so yes, they're going to replace the government. They're not ready to. We don't really even know how to not have a government here. And they're going to replace the government. It's a little bit like what happened during the French Revolution. They were all excited for a certain amount of time. They replaced the government. They thought it was different. Of course, nothing was different because the dark will go into power very, very quickly, if not directly, then soon enough, or turn people who are in power to the dark. We already know how this works. And so they're going through something like that. And now, will it be a better government for a while? Yeah, long enough for us to leave here, so that's all right. Now, the violence. What has been very evident is that it has not been the level of violence that you would associate with a toppling of the government. It's not what we associate, for example, with the French Revolution, where people lost their heads or whatever it was. So in that sense, no, it hasn't been as low vibration as it could have been in other instances, considering how huge of a change this is. It's just because it's more about proving the fact that people can just decide that, yeah, we're done with you and you're out of here. And really, that's been the main message from Sri Lanka, which is people are just sick and tired of you. They don't want to see you anymore. They don't want to hear from you. Leave now. Because in general, these politicians never leave. My goodness, I don't know how many iterations we've had of Nancy Pelosi, who's the, I want to say she's the, something like she's got a very high position. I can't remember. Hey, put it below if you remember. I can't remember what her position is, but basically she's in charge of the entire Congress. And so I don't even know how many iterations we've had of Nancy Pelosi or whoever it is that's there now, because she's not even a human anymore. They were laughing here. And we're saying this facetiously because obviously she's a human. We're not saying she's a clone or anything else, but certainly she's not the same person. The same person has been gone. And we still have to deal with her doing things like now going to Taiwan. It's all about this chaos. They're always mixing, remixing, and redoing things. It's so boring and dreadful. And anyway, so in Sri Lanka, they decided, nope, let's do something different. And that's awesome. We're happy for them. Now, are there countries that have decided to turn to the light? All countries are turning to the light, even Israel. All countries are turning to the light. But as we've said in the beginning, you might not be able to see it at a 3D level, because while you might be seeing things here and there, if you don't have the explanation for what's going on behind the scenes, you're not capable of putting everything together. You might just think, yeah, obviously it's not like everything is going to be black. Every once in a while, something good is going to happen, but nothing has really changed. The government is still there. So stupid laws are still being passed without asking me my opinion. And so it all looks the same to me, but it's not the same. Every single country, the entire planet is turning to the light. We want to remind you again, we said this a couple of times, the vast majority of the essence is left. There are not many of us left here, but the very vast majority, it's us. We are not going, we're basically finally unbalancing things in terms of the light. Now, we have a long ways to go because we're so far imbalanced on the side of the dark. but we are very quickly switching things over. If we had been here for a few more years, you would have seen it. You would have seen that people talk about, you would have seen what people talk about in terms of golden age. But the fact is, we don't want to do this on our own. And why? There's only 100 million of us. And we already said, nobody from the rest of the multiverse is interested in coming here anymore. People have already moved on. Even people who were here until a few months ago, we might as well think of them as strangers. They're gone. So we're not going to run this planet with a bunch of NPCs running around so we can keep our services going. And they were laughing here. Somebody was asking Clea, why do we have to have all these NPCs filling up space? Because God knows what would happen if you didn't have somebody picking up your trash. And we don't want to imply that everybody who picks up trash is an NPC, or that the essence of somebody who picks up trash by necessity would have gone to a 3D chamber or with the aliens. No, there are light workers there too. It's just a matter of we need our systems. It's just an example to say we need our systems. We don't want to see our society collapse. We don't. And so that's why we are grateful that we have the NPCs, especially since we decided to stay longer. Now, had that not been the case, had the group go into 3D chambers, taking their bodies, and we had seen that there were less and less people. Imagine, we're already seeing it just with the part of the group going with the aliens having taken their bodies. And already we're like kind of a little bit alarmed. We're like, whoa, where are all the people? Imagine if the vast majority of the world population had taken their bodies and there were really so few of us, we would freak out. And so, you know, the only reason we've decided that it was okay to stay behind is because we're not completely freaked out. It's because a lot of people have left their NPC behind. So we're grateful in the sense of it worked. And that's why we're okay being here. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have these NPCs left behind. So are we moving towards the light? We're all moving towards the light. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much as always for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.